Hey everyone, welcome to Tech Altitude. Now Apple just had its WWDC event, that's Worldwide Developers Conference. Usually this event is a live event, but this time due to the pandemic, it was an online streamed event which was pre-recorded. Now Apple likes to announce a lot of software updates in this event for the operating system, new updates to the iOS, iPadOS and much more. And sometimes they announce some hardware too. Well, this time around there was some hardware announcement, but there's a lot to talk about the new software. So let's get started. So number one is iOS 14. Now I know that in previous video I said the next update for iPhones will be called iPhone OS, but that didn't happen. Instead we get the usual iOS 14 update. Now iOS 14 gets all the updates in the right direction, starting with the new app drawer feature which sorts of all the apps according to its niche, which is called app libraries. Usually in iPhones, all the apps or all the new apps take up new pages or build up new pages in the app drawer, but instead in the new app library you'll get only a single page and you'll have single folders according to the app's niche. Everything will be more sorted, and these folders will showcase all the apps or most recently or frequently used apps on the top of the folder, so you can easily access it without even opening the folder. Next big thing is widgets. Now iOS already had widgets, but it was kind of a sideline feature in the iOS and nobody just used widgets that much more. But this time you can bring on widgets into an app drawer. The new widgets are designed on the base of Apple Watch's watch face. So it is built to show you a lot information in just a smaller size. The widgets will take up a space in the app drawer. It will make up space in the app drawer for itself, and it is built to showcase a lot of information without even opening an app. There's also a smart widget option which will have multiple widgets built into it. So you can scroll around and choose the widget according to the need of the moment. Over time, your phone will learn the pattern how you use this smart widget, and it will showcase the appropriate widget automatically at that moment and at that time. There is now a picture-in-picture feature in the new iOS. Now you can watch your favorite video while multitasking. Siri has also got an update. Now it doesn't take up whole screen when you bring it up. Instead, it will showcase a small little animation at the bottom of your screen. It can now answer 20 times more facts. That means you can ask her more silly questions and it will showcase, or it will bring it up all the silly answers for you. Siri can also send up voice notes via messages or via WhatsApp, and it can also take up dictation and send those in your messages or also in your email. With all this, you have the new messaging app where you can pin a certain important chat head at the top of the messaging app. And with that, there's the new group chat option which can send inline replies, which will make group chat more simpler and more convenient to understand, first of all. Second of all, you can also use the mentions, which will send notification to the mentioned person. Apple Maps gets an update with the new cycling mode, which will show you the best cycling route in and around your city. And there's also an EV mode, which will showcase the best EV route with the best or the most charging stations, so you don't have range anxiety or charging anxiety on your EV for your long trips. Speaking of maps, and Apple CarPlay gets an update. Now you also have a wallpaper in the new Apple CarPlay. That's it. But the most interesting thing that Apple showcased in this event was the digital key. This thing just literally blew my mind when I watched it. A digital car key will replace your physical car key. So you can leave your physical car key at your home. You have a digital car key in your mobile phone. That means in your iPhone. And the first car to have this implementation is the BMW 5 Series. So you can take up your iPhone near to the door and tap onto the door. With NFC, it will unlock and you can just push to start. And there you go, you have your car without using a physical key. Now you can send in this digital key to any of your friends via messages. You can also set up your full restriction mode or you can also give it to them with your full access. But I have two questions now. What if the iPhone's battery runs out during the day? Now I can't go home because the key is digital and I can't open up my car now. And the second question is, what if I lose my iPhone? Currently, any other phone in the world is replacing a wallet. Now we have the digital wallet apps in our phone, a camera or photo gallery, a phone that's used for calling, and now it will also have your car keys. So if you lose your phone, you're going to lose all of this. I have to say that iOS 14 is much like Android now. Of course, we don't have that more customization features in the iOS 14, but the new widgets, which are much better in iOS 14, and the privacy, which is much better in iOS. But more or less, these two operating systems are really mature now, which means we'll not see a much more dramatic change like we used to see in Android or also in iOS. Dramatic changes like where we shifted from ice cream sandwich to jelly bean. The whole user interface was really different between these two updates of iPhone, and it was same with iOS as well. But instead, these operating system I have got so much mature and so much better that we only see a small incremental updates over the years now. Number two is Appclip. Now, how many times it has happened with us that if we go in a certain restaurant or at a certain store and we have to download a certain app to get that 10% discount or make a payment in that store or in that restaurant to take up advantage of certain scheme or certain discount. We have to download or we have to go through all the efforts of searching the app and downloading it completely and then logging into the app and eventually making a payment. There comes the Appclip. Now Appclip will let you download a specific function of a specific app. That means you don't need to download the whole app to take advantage of a feature. You can log in via Apple ID and you can make payments via Apple Pay. The size of the Appclip will be less than 10 megabits. That way it will open up really quickly and it will save you a lot of time and lot of storage space on the new phone. Number three is the iPad OS. Now iPad OS gets all the updates from the iOS 14. That is the new app library, the new widgets, and all the new things from iOS 14. But there is also an update specifically built for the iOS, just like Scribble. iPad OS uses an algorithm which will convert your handwritten text into a typed text, which means once you pick up your Apple Pencil, you can just scribble down or write down everything on your iPad and it will get converted into a text. You can also copy your handwritten text directly from the notes. So now you don't need to drop your Apple Pencil once you picked it up just to type in or just to enter in some words with your keyboard. You can just write it down. Siri also gets an update on the iPad OS. Now it will not take up whole your screen when you call her up. Instead, it will stay at the bottom right corner and it will also show the search results at the bottom right corner itself. The incoming call is now presented with just a small notification, just like your Android phone. Now this was a big time coming and finally it's here, and finally it will not take up your entire screen when someone calls you. Number four is the updates for AirPods. Now AirPods has a new feature upgrade which is called a spatial audio. You know, just like the theaters where the sound is coming from left, right, from behind you, above you, from the center and everywhere. Well, this is the new feature on the new AirPods. Apple has achieved a spatial surround sound with the use of only two speaker drivers in the AirPod. Now you can get Dolby Theater-like experience with just your AirPods. With that, Apple is known for its ecosystem and the AirPods take up a good advantage of it. Now when you connect your AirPods with a device, let's say your iPhone, it will automatically get connected with all your other Apple devices like your iPad or your Mac. Now the AirPods can recognize when you're switching from your iPhone to your iPad or from your iPad to your Mac. Number 5 is watchOS. Now watchOS gets an update for sleep tracker. Now the Apple Watch can track your sleep, how deep your sleep is and how long lasting your sleep is. So you don't need to remove your Apple Watch while sleeping now. And now you can customize your watch faces according to your need or according to the data you need from the watch face. And you can also share them via messages to your loved ones. Well, there's one more, the hand washing mode on the new Apple Watch, which is so much 2020. Well, Apple Watch will detect when you're washing your hands based on the motion you create with your hands and from the sound of running water, running tap water. Apple Watch will encourage you to wash your hands for 20 seconds. It will give you 20 haptic vibrations which will showcase or which will give you instructions to wash your hands for 20 seconds. And if you don't do it, it will tell you that go on, push yourself, wash your hands for 20 seconds. Well, this is really cool feature and it is a really must feature in 2020. Number 6 is macOS Big Sur. Now finally, Apple has left the macOS X or the macOS 10, and finally we have the update for macOS 11. It has a design overhaul with all the rounded corners in the system and new app icons. There's also a control panel just like your iPhone. Apple said they wanted to create a seamless design where you can easily switch over from device to device and you get the same experience. Well, the macOS Big Sur looks like iPadOS on steroids. Number 7 is Apple Silicon. For the first time, Apple is going to use its very own design processors in all of its hardware. The Macs used Intel based or Intel's processors from 90s up until now, and for the first time Apple is going to design its very own processor and they are going to use it in all of its hardware. That means all the MacBooks, all the iMacs, all the Mac Pros will get Apple designed Apple Silicon processor. The architecture on which these new processors will be built on is the same as the processors from iPhone and the iPad. All the softwares are currently optimized or designed to work on an Intel based processor. Well, the softwares to run on an Apple Silicon, it will take up time. Well, this time is the transition time, and Apple says that it will take up to 2 years to make and switch from all the Intel based processor to all the Apple Silicon based processor for all of its hardware. The Apple Silicon based Macs will roll out as early as the end of this year. So yeah, it's pretty much early that Apple Silicon is going to take over all the Macintosh and all the hardwares of Apple. So yeah, that's pretty much it for WWDC 2020 from Apple. There are small incremental upgrades which make a big impact in Apple's ecosystem. Now, a lot of people will now troll Apple regarding how similar the updates are with Android and with any other operating system on board. But there are still some innovative updates in the new software. The most innovative thing in this year's WWDC was certainly the digital car key. Now, I know that you'll need a BMW 5 Series and an iPhone to make use of the digital car key, but here's the thing. Eventually, it will roll down from iPhone to Android, and once it reaches on to Android, eventually it will roll down from flagship devices to all the low cost or cheaper price devices. And from BMW, this feature will also roll down to all the cars with time. Well, that's what happened with AirPods. Initially, when they were launched, everyone just said those are really expensive, those are really ugly. But eventually now we have the replicas of AirPods starting from 2000 rupees. Like it or not, Apple still holds the steering wheel in consumer electronics, and they do drive the future, even though they are behind in competition with Android. Either way, we'll see how things will play out. As always, do check out my other videos. If you are new here, then subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.